Hello and welcome to What's Next. I'm your host, Matt Brading, and I'm back this week, which you'll all be glad to hear. This week we are doing video games, and I'm really looking forward to our new section. But first, we are going to have our review section.
Hi, I'm going to start us off by taking an in-depth look at Visceral Games' newest installment in their prestigious Dead Space franchise, Dead Space 3. Dead Space stands out from its predecessors in many ways, the first and foremost being that it is the first main series installment to be primarily set on a planet. The planet in question, you ask? Tau Volantis, a frozen wasteland of a world infested with the series' prolific antagonists, the Necromorphs. Other enemies to make an appearance are humans, and for the first time in the series, you get to turn out your weapons and power tools on other human beings. Dead Space 3 also shows off a brand new in-game feature for the series, a drop-in, drop-out co-op game mode, where you can drop in and join someone else's game as original character John Carver. Finally, we come to the story. Dead Space 3 leads on from Dead Space 2. There is a small time jump, but everything you need to know that happened in the first missing time from the in-game story is given throughout. However, if you're still interested in a bit of a fanboy, then the graphic novel Dead Space Liberation, which bridges the gap and fills in all of the blanks, is for you. All in all, I give Dead Space 3 a solid 8 out of 10.
Next month sees the release of the latest chapter in Kratos' life with Gods of War, Ascension, a PS3 exclusive. However, for the lucky PlayStation owners out there, you get to explore the dense history of Kratos' past, with this installment being set prior to Kratos acquired his trademark Blades of Chaos. The game is set about 10 years before the original God of War, and will see the journey of Kratos attempting to redeem himself from his past sins and the rise of his rage to break free from Ares' bond. Due to be released on the 13th of March, it looks to be a fantastic addition to the God of War series.
But don't worry, you 360 people out there, we haven't forgotten about you. First announced June 2012, Gears of War Judgment is set to be released on the 22nd of March and will be set as a prequel to the previous Gears of War installments, following Lieutenant Baird and Private Cole as the lead characters and not Phoenix. It's also set to introduce 2 new multiplayer modes called Overrun and Free For All, as well as several new maps. It is definitely one to watch out for. And now we go back to Matt for the news.
Okay, so we are now going to do the news. Hello, guys.
Hi.
Now, it's quite a big news story this week because on Monday of last week, I can't remember which, the 20th, Sony had a big PlayStation meeting where they did what everyone expected and unveiled the PS4. Well, I say they unveiled it. They didn't actually show the console itself at any point during the whole meeting. They just showed the controller and footage from the games. But anyway, this is... obviously, this is the predecessor, I'm not sure which word, to the PS3. Successor, right? Oh, I have predecessor in my head. And they've announced it's going to be released in holiday 2013, which is quite soon, because I know I was much younger when the PS3 came out, but they announced it, and it felt like about 6 years between the announcement and them actually releasing it. But have you guys heard much about it? What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I've heard a lot of hearsay about what the console looks like. I mean, you can't even look up what the console looks like because you've got a lot of people basically making their own versions and going, this is the real one, don't worry, this is real.
Yeah. And
it's tricking a lot of people because some of them are quite good ideas. But I hear it's been difficult to see anything else about it. They're being very hush-hush about it.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to think about, to understand what it's going to look like.
Yeah, they're being quite secretive, and they've said that they haven't unveiled the hardware not because of any problem with it, just because they haven't finalised it yet. And you know, if they're saying they're going to be released by Christmas, surely they need to finalise it. If I was at Sony, I'd be like, guys, we need to sort this.
I think they're just trying not to rush into things, because a lot of consoles, they try and rush in and go, ours is the first new one, buy ours, ignore the rest that are coming out next.
Yeah.
You know, they want to get it released first usually, but these ones are trying to get rid of every little bug with it.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, well, that's big news, but we're going to cover a lot today. So I'm going to pass this over. There's actually 2 topics on there, so maybe...
Damn it. I usually catch those. All right. Are video games the new films? Video games are becoming more cinematic. They tell stories that last longer than films and they're interactive. What could be next? Mass Effect and Sleeping Dogs enable the player to make decisions for their character which would make their story unique.
Yeah.
Well, I agree that a lot of games, not even recently, over years, have been basically, it's a very interactive story, but a lot of them, because I'm quite a big fan of like Final Fantasy games and stuff like that.
Yeah, sure.
So they always try and make a big story to go along with it, and you do kind of get connected with the story. You're like, this is actually really good, and there's bits where you're like, okay, I'm just going through with it.
Yeah.
And then the big bit again.
Yeah, well, I sometimes feel like they stretch it out to fill it. Like, Bella, do you have any...
Yeah, well, I remember when I used to play games when I was little. It always used to be mostly actual playing, but now they've put so many more, like, cutscenes in and choose what you have to do, and it changes, like, where the story's going. So, like Mass Effect 3, you'll choose something, it makes it completely unique to someone else's game because you choose something else and it just goes on a completely different path.
Yeah.
And it's just, they've put so many more cutscenes in, it makes it really long and just, makes it more cinematic, I guess.
Yeah.
I think with a lot of the Mass Effect games, because I've always heard a lot of hype from my friends, so I started trying to play the first one, because I don't like skipping ahead of games. I like to play from the first one and carry on. And it's, they go, oh, you've got to talk to this person, you've got to listen to what they say, and they go on for ages. They go, listen to this person, listen to everything they say, and it's like, okay, I've been here about 20 minutes, 25 minutes.
Yeah, it was always a bit like that with Metal Gear Solid. Anyway, should we move on to our next topic, if you pass it along
Thank you.
the couch?
Do you think console gaming can compete with laptop gaming, smartphones, and even tablets, or is it a dying pastime? Consoles are expected to suffer a stiff competition from these items, and console sales have slowly been declining since PS2.
Yeah. I mean, it's true, like, stuff like the PSP and the DS is starting... Well, they've sold much less than the iPhone and the iPod Touch.
Yeah.
Like, there's a huge market out there for people who already have iPads, iPhones, laptops, and now they can get these really cheap, affordable games that they can just sort of pick up and play whenever. And then with the console market, you've got £500 machines with £50 games.
Yeah.
That, there's kind of quite a big difference there.
Yeah, well, I think more people are leaning towards laptop gaming now, because more people are getting into stuff like Sims 3 and Minecraft and stuff like that. So playing Sims 3 on like a console is completely different to playing it on PC, and it's definitely not the same. It's much better on PC than it is.
Well, that's true. I mean, like, there's some games much better suited to PC.
Yeah.
And I think there are some better suited to console, but they need to learn that they've got new competition. Like, I know with the PS4, they've started to say that there'll be a range of prices for games from like 99 cents all the way up to £50. I don't know why I switched currencies in the middle of that sentence, but there you go. But like, they understand now that digital downloads is way more important, because people, that age of going to game and spending 50 quid is sort of fading away.
Yeah.
Because you can get an equivalent experience for just a few pounds.
They have been closing a lot of places like Game down.
Yeah.
Like recently, the one in Stafford's closed down, or at least they've been doing a closing down sale, get rid of everything.
Yeah.
But I mean, there is still a market there for games. I mean, I quite prefer having a controller in my hand. I mean, I know you can get controllers just plug into the computer, but it's a big difference.
I agree. I mean, like, I love console gaming, but it has to learn how to compete with the others. Anyway, we could go on about this forever, but we're going to stop it there. So we are now going to have our tech review about a different games console which is coming up, which is the... Oh, yeah, I'm not really sure how to pronounce it, but...
Ouya.
Oh, yeah. Let's go.
The Ouya is a brand new gaming console set to be released annually. In doing this, it will take advantage of the latest hardware and software advances since the previous installment, and backwards compatibility would be a definite yes to make sure that you don't have to trade in all of your games and your Ouya to get the newest one. Being Android-based, many game developers have already experienced designing games for Ouya. Like existing Android devices, it will be easy to hack, and the team behind it is going to great lengths to ensure the hacking community's experience is a pleasant one. Standard screws and support for USB and Bluetooth should make it easy enough routing the system, thereby granting complete control over the system, not only doesn't void the warranty, it's actively encouraged. That approach is light years away from the three big console manufacturers, each of which go to great lengths to prevent any unauthorized usage of its platforms. With each system doubling as development kit, there is a potential for games to come from anywhere. Without things like certification fees to complicate the development process, ER could be a haven for small, independent developers seeking to get their games into television sets without resorting to the likes of notoriously ineffectual Xbox Live indie game service. This console will come in at around $99, which sets it apart from the three main competitors. Now back to Matt for an interview with the developers of Falchion Games.
Okay, so I'm now joined in the studio by the guys from Falchion Games. Is it Falchion? Is that the correct pronunciation?
Falchion. It's the name of a sword.
I think it depends if you're northern or southern.
Oh, sorry.
Fair enough. Well, Ben, you've been on the show before, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, last year talking about Blunderbuster.
Yeah.
Obviously, this year back with something completely
I'm
different.
a bit of a jack of all trades.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Right, do you want to introduce your company a little bit?
Yeah. Falchion Games, we make independent video games, in specifically point-and-click games.
Right, okay.
Our first commercial release will be Go to Hell, Dave, which is an old-school point-and-click game where you take the average Joe, Dave, on his quest through hell to find his girlfriend.
Nice. Sounds like an interesting plot. Plory? What am I on about? Plot. How did you guys get into developing games, and why did you decide to set up a company sort of around it?
Well, obviously, like since we were kids, we've been manically obsessed with games. And when we were kids, we wanted to make games when we grew up. So we came to uni, and we studied games design. I studied games audio design and programming, and Alex studied games design. And and then when we finished uni, neither of us really wanted to get a job in the industry. We wanted to make our own game, the game that we wanted to make. You don't know what you're going to end up doing if you try and get a job at a company. And we don't want to make like Barbie Goes Horse Riding or anything like that. So.
Why not?
Why not? Madmen, aren't we? We decided to set up our own business and make the game that we wanted to make.
Yeah.
And that's what we've done.
All right. Well, it sounds like it's an interesting approach, and it's definitely becoming like quite common in terms of the indie market's getting bigger, which is great. How do you get your games out there? What approach do you take?
Well, there's lots of approach is how you could get. It all depends on the game, really. Our game's PC-based. If it was smartphone-based, you could go onto the App Store or the equivalent on iPod. That sort of thing for your smartphone games, whereas with PC games, you still have to stick with digital media, which is a lot cheaper, going through the likes of Steam or Desora or just putting it on your own website and having people download it straight from you. But mainly it's Steam or Origin, but not Origin.
There's a lot of like spamming forums and relentlessly promoting your game on Facebook. They call it guerrilla marketing techniques, don't they?
Yeah.
It's all about building a community. Like, we're on Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that, and we just love chatting to like-minded people. Even if they don't particularly like our game, we want to know why they don't like it. You know, it's important.
Yeah, I think it's definitely sort of the new way of doing things. Do you want to tell us about the game that we've got some footage of that we're going to show a little later? Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, Go to Hell, Dave's a point-and-click adventure. So for people who don't know what that is, it literally does what it says on the tin. It's an adventure game where you use your mouse to click and move around and interact with the world around you. And it's effectively a puzzle game. The story is that you're a guy called Dave who's driving to the supermarket with his girlfriend Sharon in the passenger seat, crashes the car into a lamppost, and he wakes up at the gates of hell. Sharon's missing, nobody knows where Satan is, and hell's basically just turned into a big dilapidated council estate. And so you go on a bit of a mad journey through hell trying to figure out what's going on. And it's very much like, for us, it's a focus on story elements, on character development, on plot, and just on like have fun interaction and feeling like you're part of the story.
So it's all British humour.
That's another thing as well. We really wanted to inject British humour into it. You know, we grew up with stuff like Red Dwarf and Monty Python and Blackadder and stuff like that, and we wanted to inject that kind of bleak, dark, miserable sort of English attitude into everything we're doing. Yeah. And so that's Go to Hell, Dave.
Yeah, fair. It sounds interesting. It sounds a lot more original than shoot, blow up, like the commercial. That's how I'd sum up commercial games. But yeah, it sounds great, and the footage of it looks cool. So that's good. And do you want to tell us a little bit about the team and how the roles break down? Like, is it just you two, or is there other people?
Well, as the in-house team, it's just myself and Ben. I do the marketing and the design side of things, and pretty much everything else, like editing videos and stuff like that. Whereas Ben does the programming, writing, and audio, of course. And then outside of that, we have freelance artists who help us out doing the artwork, because I can design stuff very well, and Ben can design stuff, but we can't draw. So we need to hire outside help to help us out with that. Okay. So we have an artist in Australia who does all the backgrounds and a few of the characters. And then we have someone in Stoke who does the characters. And then we've had artists all over the world. We've had them in Brazil and Portugal and Poland, and just pretty much getting the best we can with what we've got.
And that's the great thing, is that you can get them from wherever. They don't have to be down the road. They can be across the world if they need to. What's the website address for your business if anyone's interested?
It's just gotohelldave.co.uk. But mainly we use our Facebook page, which is by the same name. Okay,
awesome. Well, thanks for joining us. We're going to be playing a little bit of Need for Speed Hot Pursuit a little later. But before then, it is going to be the NASTA Awards later on this year, and the submission deadline is tomorrow at 6 o'clock. So Staff CV has been busy this week editing together all our submission videos. And as a special treat, we're going to show you not the final version, but one of the draft edits for our Best Broadcaster submission. So I hope you enjoy it, and we're going to be playing Need for Speed in a little while. Okay, so we are now going to play a little bit of Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, and I'm here with Alex, who's going to be helping me to review this. Now, this came out a little while ago, didn't it?
Yes.
Was it last year?
Well, they've got the newer one out now that's
Yeah.
Need for Speed Run, haven't they? So
Yeah.
the last one.
Well, I'll jump in and start playing it. We're currently doing a Hot Pursuit, whereas I'm playing as this...
Best mode is the police car, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I bought this game primarily because of how much I liked the older one, like way back when it was on the PS2. Like, I remember playing it at a friend's house and just thinking it was awesome.
I imagine this is a reimagining of the PS1 that was by the same name, where
Yeah.
essentially they did the same thing.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
the best bit about this is the police cars and setting the traps and stuff. Like, you can't really do that on any other racing games as far as I'm aware.
yeah, I mean that's what I really liked about it. You can see at the bottom on the screen there, we've got the various different things I have to stop these cars, which is my aim. So I have EMP, block, and spike.
Need to get in front of them and drop the spike clear.
Yeah.
I think it's down on D-pad, as far as I remember.
Yeah, I'm going to try and boost ahead of this guy,
Yeah.
and then drop it.
Oh,
There we
yeah,
go.
nice one.
I'm much better at this than I was at Halo. Like, I was rubbish at Halo. All right, so
Yeah.
it's kind of it's a good mix of games, this, because obviously it's not exactly how the original was. It's sort of a combination of Need for Speed and Burnout.
Well, yeah,
over the
it's
past
it's
year.
by the same team who made the original Burnout games,
Yeah.
so you can definitely see by the graphic style and the
Oh,
way
yeah,
the car
absolutely.
handles.
And it just, it plays really well for what it is, because, I mean, although it's pretty much an open world game, or you can go into an open world mode on it, but like the races feel really good on it. I'm just going to drop another spike strip.
Yeah, nice one.
And also, I mean,
Multi-kill.
yeah, the big selling point of this game is that you can play as the police and as the racers, which was their big sales pitch. So, although I have these sort of crazy weapons of death on my police car, the racers can get those too, like a little later on, so they can
Okay.
they can destroy the police cars, and you sort of get into that interesting modes, especially on the online where you've got the police cars versus the racers, and it's quite an interesting battle. It loses a lot of realism. Like at the start when you just got spike strips, you can imagine that that's how real life is, but when you're shooting people out of the skies with EMPs and stuff, it starts to lose a little bit. Now I'm going to try and...
Like, later on, don't you unlock more super-powered police cars and they get more extreme until you're sort
Yeah.
of driving around in some sort of police Lamborghini?
Yeah, well, at the moment I'm in a police 911, which fairly sure that's not standard.
Comes as standard in
Yeah.
America.
Because this is like a preview race, so it's not fully in the career.
I see.
But yeah, see, it's quite nice. It's difficult to drive looking backwards.
Yeah.
But interesting. I don't know if you saw that, but we've got. You can see the face of the driver, who looks very cool for a police officer.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you've seen American cops, but they don't look like that. But yeah, I mean, there's been a whole load of the Need for Speed games. It seems like they've really brought back the police element quite a lot recently, but they've expanded it as well into having much more sort of. They have the various different kinds, don't they? Because they've got.
The only thing that puts me off this late, well, it's not the latest, but Hot Pursuit is there's no split screen.
Yeah, I know. It's a shame, isn't it?
I used to love playing these games with my friends, but I suppose that's the way games have gone now. You just play everyone online, don't you?
Yeah. Well, it's a real shame, and it's true of the sort of PS3, Xbox 360 generation, is that online's become the must-have feature, and split screens really quite rare nowadays. Like, you're not allowed to have real-life friends anymore; they have to be online. Anyway, right, I think we've about covered this.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining me,
No, you're welcome.
and thank you for watching What's Next this week.